趁这个早上的时间，我给大家看一下啊。经常有人问我一个问题，来单8块1毛，开过来。经常会有人问我一个问题，问我这个拍摄的这个设备是什么？是这一款啊，我不知道大家能不能看清楚啊。我这里不方便放临接，大家可以定格看啊，我就不组织了，我今天在开车。你还要买一个这个 SD 卡，这两个东西必须要买，因为它这个摄像头是没有带这个 SD 卡的，你要自己配一个 SD 卡的。而且它的最大的那个 maximum 那个 data 是256G， 所以我就给它配了一个最大的，也不是很贵，在 Amazon 上买的。为什么不放临接呢？因为我经常关注一个博主叫西雅图老胡，这个博主真的是良心博主。我这里为什么不放临接呢？因为我有一期节目，我看他说什么油管现在改了，YouTube 现在改了，说不能放站外临接，只能放这个 YouTube 的自己站内的临接，所以我不敢放，毕竟我在这个平台混，我要严格遵守它的规则嘛，是吧？所以我就没有放临接，大家可以回放回去定格在那里看啊，这两个东西。优点呢就是它是一个双摄像头，它可以一个对着车外面拍，一个对着车内拍，双摄像头同时拍啊。这是唯一的一个优点。然后我要着重说的就是它的缺点，最大的一个缺点就是它的这个麦克风呢，可能是离太远啊，收音效果呢不是很好。如果是乘客坐在我的车后面呢，说话声音小一点呢，基本上就是听不到的。我要通过后期的剪辑，把这个音量调大一点，才能听得清楚。这是最大的一个缺点。
How's your day going?
So far so good. A little bit slow.
Yeah, mine's been crazy.
What happened?
Well, I just found out that I'm going to visit my dad. He's older. My brother says that his car the battery's dead. I'm like, oh great. So I gotta get his car fixed. It's not what I planned on this weekend. I was supposed to cook for him. My husband worked for Mattel Toys, and they had lots of factories in China. So he's gone to China several times. Got to go to the different factories with a special pass. This was years ago when they didn't allow people always to go. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, China, the economy growing so fast. So I think US don't punish. A lot of factory moved to Vietnam or other country, Indonesia.
Yeah, but they don't always do a good job. There were some problems. Gosh, I think it was bad. It was a bad scene. I think it was like 15 years ago. One of the factory workers, it was a toy for children, and they ran out of the paint that Mattel gave them. They gave them special paint to use because we have laws that say you cannot use paint with lead in it. Do you know what lead is?
I don't know. What
lead is that metal that's really soft.
Like
metal.
a liquid?
It's like you can make it a liquid. It's a lead paint. Sometimes comes in a paint.
Oh, the pencil.
Yeah, like lead pencil.
Yeah.
And there's lead paint, but it's a poison.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
A poison. And they used to make lead paint, and it would get old and chip. And if you eat it, like children sometimes will eat old paint, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes I do it because I write something. I think and I chew it.
Yeah, it's poison. It'll kill you. Yeah. And so it's illegal in the United States. They don't make lead paint anymore, and we don't have lead pencils. There's no lead pencils, no lead paint. Got rid of it completely. Make it out of other things. And in China, they still have lead paint.
Yeah.
And so Mattel gave them special paint to do the toys and to paint the toys. And they ran out, and the workers at the factory didn't call Mattel and say, hey, we need more paint. They went out and bought lead paint and put it on the toys. And children children. And they said, where did the lead paint come from? And they traced it to this factory in China. And these guys in China replaced the paint with lead paint.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
is it cheaper or something? I don't know.
They just were lazy.
Yeah.
They were lazy. They didn't call for new paint. They just were lazy. And they got in trouble. And of course they got fired, you know, because they knew they weren't supposed to do that. Anyway, the owner of the paint factory, he I guess, you know, it went all the way up to the chairman of China, you know, and the president of Mattel went to China because it went all the way up to, you know, Chairman, I don't think it was Chairman Mao, the other guy, the new guy, and it was a big deal. And they had to meet, and they both had to take blame. And the factory guy committed suicide. So he had to take blame. You know, in your culture, I guess, you have to take blame. And it was horrible. And my husband had to write the report on what happened and do the presentation and give it to his boss. And he had to go before Congress and present the findings of what happened and why it happened and how it happened. And it was a nightmare. And how they were going to prevent it from ever happening again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they switched to it again. Or
Well, and how they were going to keep it from happening again. You know, because how are you going to prevent another guy at a different factory from running out of paint and saying, let's go down the street and buy red paint, you know, instead of calling up the company and getting special paint, you know?
That's hard to control.
Yeah, it's hard to control. So how are you going to fix that? So they had to figure it out. It was a nightmare. But yeah, I was so, in our culture, you know, you take blame and you fix it, and you know, obviously the family, you can't replace it. You can't, you know, if a child dies, you can't replace a child.
Yeah.
But you know, you give them money, you do whatever you can do. But it was bad.
Yeah.
But does that have the right address? It's supposed to be Knollwood Court. I guess they took us off the freeway.
And let me see.
Should be 3921 Knollwood Court.
Knollwood Court. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't know why to go this.
It took us a long way.
Sometimes the GPS sometimes is so weird.
Yeah, it took us because we should have been on the freeway. That's weird. Oh well, maybe because of traffic.
Yeah, sometimes the GPS knows where is the traffic. They pick up a lot of ways.
Traffic can be really bad. So I haven't been this way in a long. Anyway, that was really interesting because in our culture, you know, you don't commit suicide usually. It was just kind of it was like state sanctioned suicide. Like they told him to do it, you know.
Yeah, sometimes the government they wanted someone to take responsibility for the problem. Yeah, so
but you take responsibility by you pay money. You know, you don't commit suicide.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, that's what they did.
Yeah.
And it was shocking to the United States.
Yeah.
and it was really interesting because the United States did not understand, like, the company was really angry because they felt like that company made a terrible mistake, but they didn't understand how it was a bigger ramification, a bigger mistake for making China lose face. They didn't understand about how China felt it was even worse because it made China lose face. And so it was like a slap to China on the face. And that Mattel made China look bad. And so it was Mattel's fault for making China look bad. And the United States made China look bad because it was Mattel that had the toy that made China look bad. And Mattel did not understand that. And it had to be explained made China look bad.
I don't like the way the Chinese culture too. I don't like that.
It was surprising to us because we didn't understand that. You know, from our culture, we did not understand that. And so we were like, what? And so it was really interesting. They had to have somebody from a cultural person come out and explain it to the president and the board of Mattel Toys. They were a big company in those days. And explain to them how they messed up and that this was really bad. And it was a big deal to the United States, and that the United States government was upset with Mattel Toys because the government now was upset with Mattel Toys. And the U.S. government, the president of the United States, told Mattel, you gotta fix this. And Mattel's like, what? And so they had to get educated about China and how they messed up.
Yeah, the problem is the China, the factory problem, but
it's about culture.
But
But that's okay. It's about culture, and it's about because Mattel should have thought of this and thought, well, why didn't they have this plan in place? What happens if they run out of paint? Where are they going to get new paint? Who do they call? How does that work? They should have prevented it. They should have taken responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, they shouldn't just blame the factory guy, you know? And so it was very interesting. And so they had to send, my husband's boss to China, and he had to sit down with it wasn't the chairman of China, it was the guy in charge of, it was the man who was in charge of the economy, the big guy in charge of economy, like 15 years ago. It was I forget the name, but it was a very important man. And they had to sit down in front of the reporters.
I think.
Yeah, something like that. And they had to shake hands and talk about how they were going to make things better and how they both took responsibility for what happened and how they were going to make everything better and more better relations. And because it was a child's death and there were numerous reports of the lead paint, and what happened was because lead paint was found on that toy, Mattel had to go and look at all the other toys that were made in China in their factories and see if there were other toys that had lead paint. And there were other toys that had bad paint. So this wasn't like one toy. This was a bunch of toys.
Yeah.
And then the United States said, well, if it's this factory, what about other factories in China? Are they doing that too? And so then they made all the companies that got things made in China and said, are you also having lead paint in your things? And they made all of the United States companies look for lead paint. And everybody had lead paint. And so then it made everybody look bad and China look bad. So that's how it ended up being an international bad thing. And so that's how it ended up we're going to do better thing. But yeah, it was a big deal, and that's how it ended up egg on everybody's face.
At that time, do China know the lead paint is poison?
Yeah, that's how
they don't know.
That's how China. Well, China didn't. Remember, 15 years ago, China didn't care about poison. Remember, you guys still are really bad about. China is bad about poisoning the atmosphere. I mean, you guys just.
I think they don't know.
You don't care.
Yeah, they don't know, and they don't care.
Yeah, you don't care. You want to have a good economy.
Yeah.
So you're poisoning the air, the water, the land. You don't care.
Yeah. Right now, the small factory, they still do it.
Yeah,
they still doing it.
You don't put filters on anything.
Yeah, they don't. They just put the mechanical to the river.
yeah. You just dump,
Yeah.
and it's poisoning your people.
But that's a small factory. But big factory they have it. But small they don't care. They just put it in the river.
Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, and you're gonna pay for it just like we did, because your people will be poisoned. It'll happen. It'll be bad. We learned our lesson the hard way. And you're a bigger country, so you're gonna do it on a bigger scale. It's gonna
Yeah.
come back and bite you. But yeah, so it was interesting how that whole thing came out, and so that's why I'm surprised that things aren't, because it was a big deal, lead paint, and you still have lead paint.
2000, I think 2007 and 6, a big problem for the milk for the baby in China. You know, I don't know. You hear the news?
Yeah.
The powder, the milk powder
Yeah.
for the baby, they have a poison in there too.
God.
And then the baby, when the baby drink the milk, the head goes so big. That's crazy.
Oh really?
That's
What,
a big news.
Maybe it had hormones in it.
Yeah, I don't know, but they have something in there. It's crazy.
Yeah, we had hormones in a lot of our milk and dairy stuff, like especially the milk.
My sister left her phone in your car.
Oh yeah. I have the phone. Why did you call?
We've been tracking you down.
Why did you call the number?
We've been chasing.
Yeah, why did you call the number? You should call. You should call.
We tried calling.
I don't receive it. Oh. You just got it.
Send me the thing so I can tip you big.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry. Have a good night.
Take care, man.
我是想说，等他打电话来，呢，我就接到之后呢，我就问他地址在哪里，或者在哪个地方见面，把手机还给他。但是他根本就没有打电话，他没有打电话，就造成我也不知道他的地址在哪里。我不知道他的地址在哪里，那我怎么找他？他有一点其实也很聪明，他打开 Find My iPhone， 他打开那个功能 Find My iPhone 那个功能，他打开之后呢，他就一直跟着我，跟了1个多小时，恨不得2个小时，就一直跟到最后，跟到把我的车截停了在那个地方。这也是个办法，最好的方法就是你马上，你的手机掉了，你马上就打一个电话。今天干了12个小时01分，干了207块，干了26单，5个 tips， 平台已经提成过所有费用了，207块是直接进银行的。